Hey everybody, this is Xprov from xprov.com, and I thought today I'd give you a few basics over how to do some basic soldering and make it look good. Because I know Fox has gone on there a couple of projects, and they look all great and everything, but we never exactly got the grasp on how to get that perfect soldering job on those PCB boards. So today I'm going to give you the ideas of what supplies you're going to need, what works best, what works worse, good techniques, good irons, you know, little basic things like that to save you time, effort, money. Alright, so we'll start off with the basic. You got your standard soldering iron. Now, I got a whole supply of them down here, to be honest, but it gives you a basic idea. Now, this is a different style soldering iron, as they like to call them, but this guy is basically a static one. It doesn't change. It's between 30 and 35 watts, great for real small soldering jobs, but it doesn't have a hot melting. I can't talk today. It doesn't have a hot melting temperature at all. So if you're doing any kind of large joints, it's not the guy for you. So we go to the other end of the extremes, and we've got the soldering gun. Now these guys are great for real hot applications. They're great for real large joints, but if you're trying to do anything small, or you're trying to do work with any equipment that's, how shall we say, not very tolerant with heat, then basically you're screwed with one of these guys. So we like to go on something with the middle, which I've actually already got set up at my soldering station. However, it is what we call a variable wattage soldering. We got a little dial down here that gives us a different temperature range, so we can choose how hot we want it to turn heat up to, what types of solder we want to work with, etc. And it's got a real nice small point, so we can work with smaller joints. Now, I personally don't like this model because it's got a very long neck, so it's a little difficult to work with, but if you can find something out there, Weller brands and stuff like that, I mean, this is a $25 Canadian fix, whereas you can go upwards of $180, so, you know, for the price you're getting, it does the job. Alright, so that gives you an idea of your soldering irons. I mean, for the most part, I say around 45 to 50 watts is generally a nice area to do soldering, but once again, that's dependent on the joints that you're doing and the small stuff you're working with. Alrighty, your next best friend, alcohol. Now this is, in this case, is isopropyl. You may know it as rubbing alcohol. It's purely, in the end, you're wanting to clean off all your joints. You want to make it the nice clean solder. You want to make there be no dirt in your joints. You don't want any particles in there that could basically cause you not to get the best connection, because that's what we're going for, is the best possible connection with the least possible chance of damage. So with these guys, in combination with a standard little brush of some sort, you just go, it would allow you to scrub off your joints, make them all clean, make them all perfect. You're also going to need it clean for what some people love, some people hate. I personally think it's great for making it look nice. Flux. Simply put, it's tree sap. What does it do? You apply heat to it. Wherever it's touching, it transfers the heat like water. It's like boiling a cup of water. You attach heat to one point, it goes and distributes it all around. That's really nice for when you're trying to get a joint and you have this whole solder platter of some sort, and you basically want to go and you want to share the heat around so the solder will spread out nice and evenly instead of just staying chunked in one spot, or even on your iron. It happens. And to be honest with you, those are the basic tools, I mean, to doing soldering. There's a lot of extra pieces of benefits. I'll be showing you. I might be using this guy, I might not. This is what we like to call a third hand. Now I actually went and added on my own little third hand to give it a fourth hand in essence. These guys you can pick for about $10 American down at your local Radio Shack, or up here in Canada they call it the Source. And the whole idea is when you're doing a project, you want to be able to hold it in place. So, got a board here, got a whole bunch of crap on it, want to add something to it, we can go and clip it on so that it's anchored in place, so that it literally acts like a third hand. You can hold your iron. Up to this point, you can be feeding in solder with your other hand, and you don't have to hold this in place and worry about it falling out. So, that's an extra little benefit to it. Alright, so now, we got our tools. But once again, tools are tools. We know how to use them, but we need to learn the best technique. So let's go over to the soldering bench. Alrighty, here we are over at the soldering bench here, aka my dress. General practices when it comes to soldering. Number one, I've got all these rings on here right now. Now that's not a good idea. Why? If you slide your iron over, metal heats up, it conducts very well. So even though it doesn't look like it would hurt, yeah, it would hurt, because you have to pull that hot metal off your fingers, and that would not be good. So basically idea is take off any kind of thing, anything that could get in the way of soldering, especially metal-wise or anything that could conduct. Even though your skin can slightly burn, it takes a good time to hold it against your finger. I mean, if you bump it, you bump it. Everyone does. Number two, you have to make sure you have a good eyesight view of everything. So, in my case, I got long hair. I am going to put on a hat. However, the main keys for the soldering is make sure you're on a surface that won't be susceptible to heat. So, in this case, I'm on an oil-based some kind of paint thing that basically it won't catch fire or anything. If solder lands on it, it'll solidify. It won't fall off. If you were doing it on wood, you can sometimes get away with it. Any kind of fabric, no, I would not recommend it at all. But alright, let's get on with it. Now, I'm not sure if the camera will come through clearly here. We can see my board. It looks relatively good, but some of these joints in here, the board, really in essence, is quite dirty. You can actually see there's some burn marks right around this area right here. So that's where our alcohol comes right in hand here. We can actually just use it in there. And the nice thing about alcohol is it's got a low boiling point, so it'll basically evaporate right in our air. So you can go right in there and scrub all you want. Be really vigorous about it, because we want it to look as clean as can be. We want it to be as clean as we can be, so that we don't have anything on there that could catch, burn, and give you bad fumes. Now, one thing I didn't mention before is you want to be in an area that's very well ventilated. Why? These are toxic fumes we're working with. This is metal. This is flux. So we got literally evaporated tree sap in the air. Not good for your lungs. So, by the way, this board that I am working on here, it's actually an old transformer here. So I'm just going to be soldering on a capacitor here to show you how to do it on. The fact is, I am not actually doing this to actually use it for any reason. So I'm just going to solder it to the best looking joints in here, and that's one thing. You want to make sure you're always soldering to the right point and know what you have ready. Plan it all out before you even do it. Haven't even turned my iron on yet. Clean her all up. So today we're going to be working with our standard little capacitor. In a later episode I will hopefully talk about the basics of capacitors and electronics and stuff, just in case you don't understand. Well, this is an electrolytic capacitor. This little guy here, it's polarized, so it means the electricity goes only one way. So when you're soldering these, you want to make sure you get it the right way. If you get it the wrong way, they're not good. But for this demo, it doesn't matter because we're not using it. So, board's all cleaned up here. I'll just be working with a larger joint. We can work with any of these smaller ones, but the fact is, I mean, it's easier to see on camera to see how you got the proper joints. Now, on most boards today, if you look at them, they have any kind of joints. Sometimes they do them good, sometimes they do them bad. But what you generally want to get is you want to still be able to see the original outline of this wire going into it, and you want to see it as basically like a bend, kind of like an inverse squared function. I know that's probably a bad description of it, but I'll somehow import a diagram into this video here and then add some stuff in the show notes, image-wise. But the basic idea is, for any of these little guys, you want to still be able to see the wire coming through, but you want it to look like it's all one part, and you don't want to see it look like a dome. You want to see it as basically, yeah, it's not going to come through very clearly, I know that, but yeah, I'll take some diagrams or put it right into the video or a close-up screenshot of some sort. But anyways, now my iron, I think I'm still waiting for it to heat up here. This one little accessory here that I'm actually using right here, it's a little holder for my soldering iron, and it's really nice because it allows you to hold the iron when you're not using it, and as well, a little sponge down here. How it works, you just soak her up, and then once you're done doing soldering, clean off the tip, make it look nice. In my case, yeah, I'm getting a high wattage here, so, and as I said, it doesn't hurt to go over, because what the temperature is going to determine is how fast your solder melts. There's different temperature solders and such, but for the idea today, we're just going to, actually I'm going to show you both. You know what, I'll show you desoldering and I'll show you soldering. So, let's get a hole here ready. Let's say we want to desolder the power adapter in this case, because there's many use of these adapters. If something goes wrong with any kind of board and you don't want to fix it, or you have a project idea for it, well, you can just take these things right off. So you clean it right up. One little accessory I didn't show before. This is called solder wick. Now, how does it work? It's simply put coiled copper wire. When you put solder on there and you apply the iron to it, it sucks the solder right out onto the wire. You snip it off, you throw it out. Dirt cheap stuff, excellent to work with. So, let's see here. I apologize. This is the first time I've been setting up this camera view, so I have to keep checking to make sure it looks good. So now we are going to go and say we're going to take off one of these joints. Now, I'll hopefully be able to, in the post-editing, zoom in on how this looks. But right now I'm just pre-fluxing them. I'm going to be rushing this just so we're not going to be sitting here all day watching me do this, because it's a slow process. You want to take your time on it. You want to make sure you do it right. If you screw it up, sometimes you can't go back. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So now we fluxed up the joints here. We got our iron. Place the iron up to it. See your smoke there? And she will suck right up. Now, just in doing this, I actually, with different solders on different boards, you have different temperatures. So right now I was just